It's the Randy Karraker Show, NFL edition on a Sunday. Matthew Rocchio, Randy Karraker, and it is great to have you with us on an NFL Sunday. And so many great games. You've got the unbeaten Eagles against the unbeaten Bucs. You've got the Baltimore-Kansas City game. Kansas City, I don't know why it is that they shove that team down our throats, Matthew, but it's another one of those 325 games that apparently only St. Louis gets. And the Ravens and the Chiefs. Let's start with that.
Can I say that people who complain about the 325 slate being a bad game? My question to you is, where have you been for the last 20 years of watching NFL football on the basic channels? You get two good games that you have inevitably only get to watch the majority of one because you're changing channels, and then for some reason the one game that plays solo at 325 is 90% is like half of the time a crappy game. That's just the way it's been on the basic channels for a long time.
No, it's always the best. It's the game of the week. It's America's game of the week, right?
Yeah, and Thursday's prime time, which means it's always a good game.
Yeah, right. No, but that 325, it's not just the number one rated football game or the number one rated sporting event. The 325 time slot in the fall on CBS and Fox is the number one show in America every year. Even gets higher ratings than the Sunday night football games.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying I don't watch the games. I mean, I've watched it every week for God knows how long.
Ravens Chiefs is
going to be a pretty good game. Although one of these teams will be 1-3 when all is said and done.
But you know what? I look at the Ravens, and so Pittsburgh, Minnesota. Pittsburgh could easily lose that game. We don't expect much from the Browns this year. We don't expect much from the Bengals without Joe Burrow. If the Ravens are 1-3, they're still probably going to win their division. Meanwhile, if the Chiefs are 1-3 in a division with the Chargers and the Denver Broncos, I think the Chiefs would be in serious trouble. I think the Chiefs still have a chance if they're 1-3, but their schedule is brutal. But I don't think the Ravens have to worry if they're 1-3.
And I think you also have to wonder, obviously, the Ravens defense has been a big problem. The Chiefs offense has been a big problem. When the Ravens get back Justin Madubuike, when they get back Madubuike, when they get back Van Noy.
And Van Noy is back in this game.
Van Noy's back this week. When they get those guys back, will that be a bigger impact to the defense than the return of Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice for the Chiefs?
No. The Chiefs cannot throw the ball deep without those two. Now, Thornton has had a great start to the season. The biggest thing for Kansas City, though, in throwing the ball deep is they need to protect Mahomes. Mahomes can't be the guy that carries the offense on the ground and in the air all the time. And even if he can take a 3-step drop or work out of the shotgun, just get the ball out into the flat to Xavier Worthy or Rashee Rice. Once they get to that point, and by the way, Xavier Worthy, the fastest guy in the history of the combine. So if they can get to a point where they can just get the ball into the hands of those two playmakers, I think they'll have an opportunity to win.
There is also a chance that we're looking at a couple surprising records for some teams in the AFC, at least one surprising record. So this obviously could have been an AFC championship preview between the Ravens and the Chiefs. There's a chance maybe one of these teams doesn't make it because they start the season 1-3. So let's talk about the 3-0 Colts and the 3-0 Bills. Obviously, I don't see any no shocker from the 3-0 Bills. There should be no shocker this afternoon when they face off against a bad Saints team at home. But there's a lot of shock and surprise for Daniel Jones and the Colts. And if they move to 4-0 with a win against the Rams in LA, that could be a huge statement about what the what does the AFC look like going forward.
Well, it just goes to show you, Matthew, that contrary to what you would think if you are a consistent watcher of ESPN, except for NFL Live, there are other players on the field. And a guy like Daniel Jones by himself can't carry a team. But if you give him an offensive line and give him a running back, you gave him a running back and an offensive line a few years ago in New York against the Giants. He went to the playoffs and won a playoff game. Daniel Jones gets Jonathan Taylor. He gets a good offensive line. He gets a good defense in Indianapolis. Bing, bang, boom. They're 3-0. How did that happen? Your quarterback cannot do it all by himself. And now that Daniel Jones is playing in a system where he has an opportunity to utilize his talents, he doesn't have to work outside his talents to try to win games. He has a chance. And the Rams are really good, although they disintegrated against Philadelphia last week. But the Rams historically, despite what happened last week against Saquon Barkley, have not been good against the run. I would expect that Jonathan Taylor will have a pretty good running game against LA. By the way, the Colts, I think, are one of the few teams that can go and face the Rams at SoFi and not have a distinct home field advantage. I don't think there are enough Colts fans out in LA.
Oh, that's a really good point. Yeah. That's one boon for the Rams at their home stadium. They get one. Fine.
Yeah.
We'll give them one.
But 3 games for Jonathan Taylor, 338 yards, 3 touchdowns. Jones has 816 yards through the air, almost 300 a game and 3 touchdowns. So Indy can absolutely do the job offensively. And the key is going to be, how do you hold down Kyron Williams? How do you hold down Matthew Stafford and Puka Nacua, who is the leading receiver in the NFL? Oh, by the way, they have Devontae Adams now is playing at a very high level.
You mentioned them earlier. They also have a chance in the early slate to move to 4-0. The Chargers are in New York facing off against the Giants. That's going to be a big one as well.
I fear for the well-being of Jackson Dart.
As you should.
His first NFL start against a team that is not only talented, but they're hard. I mean, Jim Harbaugh, that's the best description I can give for a Harbaugh team. They're just hard, and they're going to be difficult to play against. And when you run into a Charger, you're going to know it. And I would be mildly surprised if the Chargers just didn't run over the Giants.
I believe that's how John Harbaugh describes his khaki pants.
Jim Harbaugh.
Sorry. I believe that's how he describes his khaki pants.
Yeah,
hard. They're a hard khaki pants.
He's going to be wearing cleats. He's going to be pounding on Justin Herbert's shoulder.
I hate
pads.
that he wears gloves when he warms up with the players.
Chargers are a 6.5 point favorite. I would be surprised if they didn't cover that. And I would think that Jackson Dart will, as one famous New York quarterback said one time, I think that Jackson Dart will probably be seeing ghosts.
I think you're right about that. But this is my point, by the way, earlier. 12 the noon slate. We have the Chargers are playing. I want to watch them.
Mm-hmm.
We have the Commanders, whether or not the Jalen Daniels is healthy or not. I still kind of want to see what they look like.
Mm-hmm.
We have Josh Allen and the Bills probably rolling all over the Saints. That'll be a fun team to watch. And we have the Lions going. So all these are fun noon games, fun teams to watch in the noon games. And also I haven't mentioned the best noon game yet, which is Eagles and Buccaneers. This is what I'm saying, Randy. There's always 2 good noon games that you got to be flipping between.
I think the most underrated franchise, at least by me in the NFL, is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 4 straight division championships. They're 3-0 this year. And they do everything well. They procure players. They develop players. They resurrect players like Baker Mayfield. They are willing to go out and supplement areas, like they lost Chris Godwin for the first 4 games this year. He'll be back in this game, but they get Ibuka, who's awesome. They've got 2 good running backs. They may or may not get Tristan Wirfs back for this game, but they have the best pair of tackles in the league. And they still play great defense. Tampa Bay is a really good team, and at home, especially with the energy that the Eagles had to expend in the win against the Rams last week, I would not be surprised to see Tampa Bay win this game, despite the fact that Philadelphia is favored by 3.5.
And if the Buccaneers come out with a win in this game, I am prepared to say that we have a 4-team jumble at the top of the NFC, because there's another team that's in there, which is by the way, that would be the Eagles. Mm-hmm. It would be the Lions. The Buccaneers, in my opinion, would solidly put themselves in the 4-team jumble. The 4th team, though, would be, of course, our Sunday night game, which is Packers and Cowboys. Swing and a miss. Try again.
Packers?
Yes, Packers. Yes, they would be in my top 4.
Okay.
Because they see the Packers have this player, and I tell you what, the Cowboys could use somebody like this. He wears number 1 on defense, Micah Parsons.
Oh,
I'd trade a couple first-round picks for him.
Oh, I wonder if Jerry Jones would. I think that's a really good idea, because that's what Dallas needs. Dallas is 1-2. The Packers and their win in overtime against the Giants. The Packers are 2-1 with an embarrassing loss to the Browns last week. And I would think the Packers will walk in to Dallas angry. I will think Micah Parsons will be highly motivated. The Packers know they can win there because they smoked Dallas, even with Micah Parsons, in the playoffs a couple of years ago. And we definitely have a recency bias. So now people think that Detroit is better than Green Bay. Last week, Green Bay was unbeatable. Now you think, okay, well, Detroit is unbeatable. The Packers are one of those 4 teams, as you mentioned.
That's what I'm saying. It's a glut at the top. And listen, if the Eagles come out and dominate the Buccaneers, and if the Buccaneers are at full almost full health, if they have both Godwin and Wirfs, still no Mike Evans, but still, they have two good wide receivers and their offensive line at tip-top shape, and the Eagles handle them, I won't put the Bucs up there, but if the Bucs can win that game, for me, there is just like a melted ball of gummy bears together at the top of the NFC. Because I think the Packers are going to handle the Cowboys. That won't surprise me. That'll be what I expect. So it won't jut them up above anybody else. Same thing with the Lions. I expect them to just absolutely rip the Browns to shreds. With Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery today, and so nothing else would really move. I expect the Packers to keep form. I expect the Buccaneers to surprise people, but I don't know if we're going to get a lot of separation in the NFC this week.
I am a fan of Kenny Clark, and I know that on the night of the Parsons trade that Jerry Jones said we needed a run stopper in the middle of our defensive line. I don't think that Kenny Clark in and of himself is going to make enough difference to slow down Josh Jacobs. I would think that the Packers will lean hard on the run in this game, especially with Jalen Reed out. Not that they don't have good receivers, but if you can run it down Dallas's throats, which you can do, why not just do it? Why not get them to do what you want to do and break their will? Because I think the Packers can do that. And Packers are going to be minus their right tackle, Zach Tom. And so he'll be going against, he will not be going against Sam Williams, but who's Sam Williams?
Exactly. My last thought before we close out the show, Caleb Williams, Colton Loveland, Caleb Williams, Luther Burden III. I know you guys briefly met at the end of last week, but maybe a first quarter catch or target. Luther Burden III, this is your quarterback. Maybe introduce yourself before halftime. If you're going to draft weapons for your young quarterback, use them. Finally, they got Luther Burden III involved last week. They need to get their tight end involved a little bit more. I know it's not going to be a fun game, but if you have the ability to watch the other 325 games and you're protesting the Ravens Chiefs, there is a reason to watch the Bears, and that is Luther Burden III.
I would think so. And the Raiders are going to get better and better under Pete Carroll as the season goes along. They are not a great team yet, but because they're at home, and that might be a game we mentioned where Colts fans might not travel to L.A., or there might not be enough Colts fans in LA. There's Bears fans all over the place. So I would think the Bears will feel like they're at home in Vegas against the Raiders, but the Raiders will get better. The Raiders are a 1.5 favorite here. I like the Bears in this one.
And here's the thing. Watching the Raiders-Bears game will be fun for no other reason than Ashton Jeanty is a different player than what you think he is when you look at his box score. When you look at his box score, you think, oh, this guy's a bust already in the NFL. He doesn't have it. He's getting 2-something yards per carry. But when you actually watch the Raiders play, the tackles that he is breaking at the line of scrimmage and before going down eventually because there's 5 guys on his back a yard or two later are absolutely elite. The balance and contact level that we talked about with Ahmad Hardy in our college football preview yesterday, that you saw with Ahmad Hardy in the game yesterday, that you've seen all the time with Ashton Jeanty at Boise State, it is 100% still there. This guy is going to be breaking tackles and annoying defenders for the next 8 to 10 years in the NFL. Watch the Bears and Raiders game and see with your eyes how good Ashton Jeanty is and will be.
All right, tomorrow night, we'll talk about this tomorrow. You've got a doubleheader on Monday Night Football. Jets and Dolphins, Bengals at Broncos. Are you a fan of the Monday Night doubleheader?
I love Monday Night
doubleheaders.
Me too.
I love them. I think they're great.
Mainly because I don't have enough. There's one less game on Sunday means nothing to me. One extra game on Monday means double the football. I mean, it's what, 17%, like 11% less football on Sunday. I can handle 11% less football on Sunday. You give me 100% more football on Monday. Oh, baby, that's a trade I'll make every time, but not twice on Sunday, ironically.
All right. There you go. But twice on Monday.
Twice on Monday.
At all. There we go. That is the Randy Karraker Show, NFL edition. Great to have you with us here on STL Sports Central, where we are presented by DraftKings, where the crown is yours. We'll see you tomorrow at 3.